my name's Andrew Abernethy. I've been the production supervisor at Channel 7 for about 12 years now. As a production supervisor, I spend a lot of my time in a very dark room with lots of television sets. So while the artificial lighting here is really comforting, having all you out there is a little bit scary for me, so be gentle. So I'm going to talk from a more commercial perspective about the creative arts. And I think it's pretty much given that when we talk about growing the creative industries in Townsville, there's a couple of things that we probably really need to consider. We're talking about growth, and to use a kind of an agricultural metaphor, growth needs fertile ground. I think we need to create opportunities for creative works. We need to create outlets and venues for those works, and going back to something Tegan was saying before too, we need to create a sense of community within the creative arts. So first up, I'm going to drill down a little bit onto my industry in the way opportunities have gone. So it's going to be a little history lesson. I'll be quick. Try not to be boring. Up until around 10 to 12 years ago, there were very few video production houses in regional Queensland, and for a very good reason. The gear was expensive, the investment was expensive, and in many places the cost return wasn't that great because the amount of money that you could charge for your product wasn't enough to make it sustainable for a lot of people. And also the major networks, would have a lot of that covered. So, it really wasn't that economically viable to have a sole production house in place. And then a couple of things happened. Firstly, computers got powerful and cheap. So, they got powerful enough to run video editing and compositing software. And the second part of it too was the means of acquisition of pictures became a lot cheaper too. You had digital video cameras that could make a broadcast quality picture that you could then plug into your computer and you could make television. So basically we saw what happened with desktop publishing happen with video. And this has been the best game changer for creating outlets in television and for creative people. I guarantee if you watch television recently, you've seen a commercial that has been shot on a digital SLR, exactly the same as is in front of me right now. That's been, no, you're right. I'm just using it as an example, Sarah. That has been used to capture video, that has then been plugged into someone's straight bought out of the box Macintosh, that has been running Adobe Creative Suite, so Premiere, Photoshop, that sort of thing. That has then been uploaded to a file sharing, one of the industry's sort of file sharing sites where basically, it hasn't seen the inside of a television station, it hasn't seen the inside of a tape machine, it hasn't been turned into a physical copy. So, and the thing is, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between that commercial and a commercial I would have made on my sort of very expensive broadcast camera with very expensive broadcast equipment. Except in some cases, it probably looks a bit nicer. But so the thing is, if you don't like what's on television, go out and make your own. The opportunity there is for that to happen. So, that's the model I think we're seeing today. Small, nimble production houses are going out on their own with a fairly cheap sort of means of production, and they're creating content. And it's not just content for television. There's so many other outlets for video production now that it becomes more of a reasonable proposition. And it's a kind of model not just for television, but for a lot of other associated outlets in the field, like graphic design, photography, that sort of thing. It's small, it's nimble, it's fast. You don't need a very large sort of economic base to be able to do the work there. So, the opportunities are there, and the costs of entry into the industry are getting cheaper. So that's one way that I think things can grow. Now, I'm going to riff a little bit on, again, my sort of perspective of things. I know we were talking earlier about outlets and venues and sort of physical hubs and things like that. From my point of view too, when we talk about outlets and hubs, we're not talking solely about physical spaces anymore. In fact, there are so many young creators who have done so much work, and I guarantee you there's not a single tactile physical piece of their work that you could pick up. It's all basically stored in sort of ones and zeros. So, and there are so many places where you can just store that data. You can park your data anywhere. There's, YouTube, Vimeo, Flickr, Tumblr, SoundCloud, DeviantArt, even Facebook. So, they're all places that can be used as hubs for the dissemination of different types of creative output. So we've got content, and it's spread out everywhere. What we've I think would be really nice, and again, this is just off the sort of my thought, is indexing that kind of equipment, that sort of content, underneath some kind of banner. I don't know what sort of organisation would take the lead with that, but if there's some sort of geolocated and compiled sort of Townsville place where, similar to the sort of creative space you guys are talking about physically, you know, an internet creative space where these things can be sort of linked to, you know, and yeah, for whatever umbrella organisation does that, I think that would be a really sort of nice idea to expand out and to sort of help grow the arts. Now, another point I'd like to talk about too, and that's the ethos of the creative industry. As creative people, we're makers. We dream things, we build things, we do things, sometimes for ourselves, but a lot more often, we like to do things for other people to experience. And there's a thrill in knowing that you made something that someone else enjoyed. It's a powerful thrill. I think you all be really aware of that. Now, here's one of the things that I think is really great about being in creative industries, and it's also one of the little secrets. In fact, it's the thing I love best about being in creative industries, and that is my job is to play. My job is to explore an idea. It's to find a new insight. It's to stick my feet in the sandbox and get them dirty. And there's so many approaches. There's trial and error. It's intuition. It's research. But above all, it's being playful. And I think it has to be approached in that spirit of fun to keep things fresh. Because one of the big things about creativity, I find, is trying to make connections between things that don't have a connection. That's where I think the sort of real fun comes into it, sort of building things together and then being all very smart, going, oh, look what I made. But that's a mindset I think a lot of creative people share. And I think we're talking about being creative, sort of meshing together. You know, we all have that mindset. We have that outlook. We love making stuff. And it's a common outlook. And I think that's something we should really try and foster. It's a wonderful feeling of community when you get into that place of cross-pollinisation, where, you know, you can talk across disciplines, and that leads to unexpected results. So I think it really, really is important to respect those bonds and treat each other openly and ethically, and to do all we can to not exploit each other, and to truly make it a welcoming creative community for everyone. You know, I see a lot of guys here are students coming out of JCU. You know, you guys are really going to be the next generation of creative people. So what we should do as a community and as an industry is basically go, look, here, see this? This is what you've got to look forward to. And you know what? It's pretty awesome. Thank you.